Mr. Eggplant presents.
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. And we are back here doing some more Mythic Plus action. This one's going to be a little bit different though. This is technically in 10.1, but it is still Season 1 since we have one more week before Season 2 officially begins. That does mean we have one more week to try to get the last of our portals, which is Ruby Life Pools. And that is what we're doing today. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I did it once before in Season 3 of Shadowlands, so let's go ahead and do an entire run through of one of my keys. Good, bad, and other, everything, we will talk about it. So I'll talk about the build and what I'm kind of looking at for Season 2 of Mythic Plus while we're going through this key intermittently. So things to kind of look at right now. So this is a +20 timed Ruby Life Pools. We make the timer by about a minute, I think, maybe a little bit less than a minute. It was actually not as close as it really sounds. We waited quite a bit for one of the Thunderhead to actually pad around, so I will cut that out of this video. So that's why we were a little bit closer to the timer than we really should have been. But in these first couple of areas, one of the big changes we saw in Season 2, or for Season 2, and it is at this current week, is the changes to the Raging affix. So as you can see, the Earth Shaper is raging now, and you want to make sure and purge that off as much as possible, because otherwise you can't CC them, and that is a big deal, particularly for our group, since we have so many people that do a really nice job of stunning, trying to get those almighty stuns that, you know, Marksman Hunter doesn't have onto some of these mobs. So you want to make sure and purge off as much as possible. Actually, in the early beginnings, and also we do have two people that can purge, Glitch and myself. And I was not doing a very good job of it, so I'll make sure throughout the rest of this dungeon that I do. And I think for the most part, we were using Trank Shot pretty well. So in this run, like I said, it is a timed +20 Ruby Life Pools. The affixes are Fortified. Then we have Raging, then Quaking, and then finally Thundering. So this is going to be the very last time you see Thundering here in any videos. That is a good thing. And we are moving up through the infusion chambers, going up to the first boss. And this is probably the one spot in this entire dungeon, other than the Thunderhead part that I talked about, that we could have saved a lot more time. We kind of slow pull this area. Yeah, the Earth Shapers are scary, especially if they get their shield up, but other than that, that's pretty much it. And I guess the big guys do throw down the big circles that you want to make sure and avoid. We do pull a couple of extra mobs here, and you want to make sure and stun those tectonic slams. That's where a lot of that damage is going to go out onto your group. We do pull extra, but we are just going to continue to slowly move up the right side of this room, clearing Thundering as we get it, trying to avoid hitting Glitch there with Quaking, and then just working on my cooldowns to make sure I have them up for the first boss. Because even though it's a fortified week, the first boss, she's difficult, and for us as a Marksman Hunter, we don't have a ton of defensive, so we want to make sure and be pumping as much damage into her as possible to get her through those phases for the shield, and then to also just keep on moving, because this is a fairly at least as we found in our runs, it's been a fairly tight timer. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's like Omega Pumper, but we have some really good damage in our group, and it is still very close for us. So I think we probably should do some more invis skips should this come up again in another season. You know, for example, if Season 3 or 4 they decide to do all of these again, we'll want to make sure and incorporate some sort of skip mechanic, whether that be with a rogue or an invis potion, you know, that sort of thing. So we are just going to continue to move up through this the right side of this room as we're going to the first boss. So this is a good opportunity to talk about my group. So this is all Drexit of Zanger Marsh members. Tipsy is not technically in the group, but she has been raiding with us all expansion long so far and really doing a nice job. So again, shout out to her. So Glitch, Tipsy, and myself round out our DPS core, one Boomkin, one Windwalker Monk, one Marksman Hunter, and then our healer is Barry on his Resto Shaman, and then, of course, Zaft is tanking for us on his Rot Paladin. And let's go ahead and real quick kind of touch on my build in this video. So first off, I do have my 10.1 Marksman Hunter guide out there if you guys would like to check that out, and encourage you guys to do so, and let me know what you think of the new builds, because it is completely different than what we were doing in Season 1. I was doing a lot of really slow, methodical attacks, next to no haste, kind of hard to start and stop, as you can kind of see here on the screen, and we have so much more haste in our build right now. In fact, my stats in this video, I believe, are 34% crit, 18% haste, 16% mastery, and 6% versatility. And the consumables I'm using, of course, using those nice elemental potions there, give you a lot of bonus main stat. Then we have I think it's the Rage Potion is what I'm using, that gives you that nice amount of crit. Anyway, let's pause that right here and let's go ahead and look at this boss. So we're trying to make sure that we have the hail bombs together. We do an okay job at it throughout the fight, and then basically what I'm doing is I'm going to hold on to my cooldowns to put them on the adds. I know add damage doesn't matter, but adds do need to die, and we have the luxury of just cleaving off of that main target, which will be the boss, and we want to make sure and we just absolutely nuke these adds. So because of that, I kept most of my cooldowns up, and now we are ready to blow through this shield. So I throw down my volley, and then I go true shot, aim shot, volley, or excuse me, aim shot, rapid fire, and her shield is almost chewed through already, and we're cleaving down those whelps. As you can see, the DPS completely shot up there. Our AoE is in a really good place right now, and actually our single target damage is doing really well too. So I get the chill storm, so I run it away, and just 1 second before it starts to pop, if you use your turtle and you just run out of it, you will block all of that damage, because otherwise that thing hurts, and the explosion afterwards does so much damage. So here I was away from the group, but I went ahead and dropped my my ice patch there where we probably weren't going to get up to it. I'm going to use my misdirect on the whelps again and send them back over to Zaft. So this goes out on a health interval, so we made sure I had cooldowns for the first one. I didn't have true shot for the second, but as you can see there, thanks to some of our many new talents, which includes Windrunner's guidance, we were able to have a couple of seconds of true shot there, and that can really stack, and it does stack your unerring vision as well. So here comes the Thundering. We want to make sure that we clear Thundering. We were trying to milk it just a little bit, make sure that we weren't going to take a bunch of extra damage or even get stunned, so I'll run there and clear with Tipsy. I did manage to get another free true shot with Windrunner's guidance, and that will happen a lot. I'll give you some better numbers at the very end of this video. I'll probably put it in the description. That way you can kind of see what our uptime of true shot was now versus what it used to be from season 1. I do have that information. I will put that down in the pinned comment or in the description, somewhere like that. So we did 141k. As you can see there, we did a lot of damage on the ads, but we still did 10 million damage to the boss, which was also good for first in our group for overall damage. So this build does a lot of AoE, but it also does a fair bit of single target as well, and that's going to be what's going to bring players back to Marksman Hunter. Not because it does great AoE, because it already did that beforehand. The trade-off was you had great AoE, but then you did okay on the single target stuff. Well, now, assuming you have your cooldowns, you can just go to town dropping all sorts of aim shots on all of the trash and all of the bosses. And as long as you're very adamant about making sure you have your true shot up for the very beginning of pulls to get the most value out of your careful aim, you're going to really notice, maybe not that you burst a large amount, let's say you don't burst as much as having a puzzle box, but you do have sustained damage at overall, and I think that's going to be a great thing for the health of the spec itself. So I kind of jumped around just before the boss, but let's go ahead and take a look at my build and the gear in this video. So I do have a 419 item level in this run, and then the trinkets I'm using, I have a 421 bottle of Spiraling Winds. That's not necessarily like BIS or anything like that for right now, but it was the best trinket I had that was going to replace the puzzle box, since that did get nerfed by about 40%. So I want to make sure and go ahead and use something else, and use something that was just like an equip instead of an on use. And then the other trinket I have is the Hunger of the Pack at 421. In my weapon, I don't have the Razageth bow. Razageth bow is so strong right now, coupled with this large amount of haste we have now. But I have the 418 version of the Fellsworn Covenant bow. I do have my 4-set, obviously, from Season 1. I'm really looking forward to getting the tier for Season 2. It's going to really make our haste that much better. But for now, I still have my 4-set, and I'm really, really excited to see how this build does once we get into the new dungeons, particularly Freehold, starting this next week. And I do have my Onyx Annulet in this video as well. So I have the Prophetic Twilight Stone, Storm Infused Stone, and the Desirous Bloodstone. So we went ahead and we pulled Flame Gullet here. We want to make sure and stay out of that flamethrower of breath he has. And then I'm just going to AoE down the Scorchlings because they do a fair amount of damage. There we go, to Zaft. So we're going to go ahead and bait the breath away from our tank and away from our melee and healer, and we did a pretty good job of that overall. So again, nicely done there, Glitch. So we're going to go ahead and finish Flame Gullet here. He's about half health, so this is where Glitch says that he's now eaten the Ghost Reaper Pepper, and we have to make sure and kill it ASAP before it kills us. And since this is a fortified week, first make sure we purge that. It took me a little bit too long to purge that, if I'm being honest. But we want to make sure and not take any ticks of that breath, otherwise you are as good as dead. And then we're going to finish off Flame Gullet and then continue to push around the circle to unlock the second boss. And so what we like to do with a lot of these groups, particularly as we get closer over to Thunderhead, is to bring these up here and do what we call go to the hot tub. So we take everything right up to the water, and that way we stay away from the path and stay away from Thunderhead when we get over there here in just a second. So talking about my talents really quick, I know I'm jumping all around, but these are kind of fun to do, and I like to watch myself play to see where I can get better and see what mistakes I make, and so I don't make them again in the future. And honestly, that was the reason I started making videos on YouTube to begin with. So looking at my class talent tree, if you guys have checked out my guide at all, link in the description of the video, you know what build I'm using, and I will put the build if you want to try it out down below as well. But I do have my Binding Shot, I do have Hunter's Avoidance. Any sort of avoidance is good for me. I do have Serpent Sting and Poison Injection, give me some good single target and AoE damage there. And then also Death Chakram, and Explosive Shot in this run. I do have 1 point in Serrated Shots. Over in the Marksman Hunter side of the tree, we are of course running with Salvo, and I have that macroed into my my volley. And then I have Unerring Vision and True Shot. So Unerring Vision is going to continue to buff that True Shot every time True Shot's up, even if you get the free True Shot. So if you're really lucky, what can happen is you can be popping your True Shot up, you can be using it like normal, actually using the cooldown, and then you can get a freebie, like a free 6 seconds after casting one of your aim shots, and it will continue that buff, and you get to keep that amount of crit that entire time. I've actually, my best so far, I had a 15-second True Shot end up lasting 27 seconds. So that has been my longest so far. Hopefully we can see some even better pulls and some better True Shots as we go along. And then one of the things that really makes Marksman Hunter fun and engaging to play right now is going to be the legacy of the Windrunner and Windrunner's Guidance, and that does allow us to have a lot more a lot more haste in our build. We want crit too. We don't want to hit like a wet noodle, but the amount of haste we have is so much more than you had in Season 1, at least if you built the way I did with really low haste, high mastery, high crit, and a little bit of versatility. But we're going to go ahead and finish off here, and we actually did pull something off to the side, so I went ahead and cut that out. It took like a couple of minutes, and then we're basically right now just waiting on Thunderhead to pat by, so we are going to let him go pass by. We're going to bring this Primalist Flame Dancer, and we're going to go back up and go to the hot tub, as we said. I guess, excuse me, hot tub is the next pull. We're going to do a small pull here, then we'll go and take them up to the hot tub. But yeah, overall, I think Windrunner's Legacy and Windrunner's Guidance are going to be keys to helping your average player pick up Marksman Hunter for single target and AoE and have fun. It does feel much more fun and engaging. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm not going to get this aim shot off because I have to keep moving. It gives you, I don't want to say we're not fishing for procs with the True Shot. You're just doing your rotation, and once in a while your rotation will naturally give you a 6-second True Shot. I mean, what's not to like about that? So we're going to go ahead and bring all these trash packs up here to stay away from Thunderhead, and of course we get the jump scare there, as Glitch always likes to call it. And on these guys, we want to make sure and continue to purge as much as possible. Interrupt where you can, and then purge. I am holding on to my cooldowns right now, so you see I did use a potion. I'm going to use my turtle here because it is a little less than a 3-minute cooldown. And then I do have still 2 of my defensives left, because even though this is a fortified week, this boss has not as much health as you normally would, but still does a lot of damage. You want to make sure to have cooldowns to help Barry or help your healer, because they're probably going to need it. So there you can see another cooldown popped up. Maybe I didn't need it. That was probably an oh crap moment by me. But again, I'm a marksman hunter, so that sort of thing scares me sometimes. So let's go ahead and bring that up here. And whew, yeah, that does over 50% of my HP, so that's scary for sure. So now we are waiting for Thunderhead, and I will cut the video here in just a second. That way you guys don't have to wait for Thunderhead to pat by. So, all right, so we are getting ready to get up to the second boss here, and this boss was actually pretty fast. I wasn't expecting her to die as quickly as she did, which is always a good thing. So you can see here, I have all of my cooldowns. I am ready to go. If I'm wanting to min-max this, I don't use my volley right away. I make sure that volley hits both the boss and the ad. That's something that I should have done a better job of. But you want to cleave, or excuse me, I guess you could cleave if you had volley. But we're going to go ahead and focus the Firestorm, and now we're going to be baiting the next magma ball. So that's going to pop up here in a second. And then she's already, she is absolutely melting. So there's the boulder. It went the opposite way of the group. Good job. I think that was actually, it was either Glitch or it was Barry. Either way, it worked out quite nicely. So here comes the ad, and the boss is basically at 48% health right now. So we're going to continue to whittle down the ad. The boulder is going to go towards the tree over there. It looks like it was going to Tipsy. Did a nice job of bringing that away from the group. And then I did pop a cooldown there, and we want to make sure and keep the Firestorm interrupted. And at this point, you can't really hear it, but I'm calling for us to move. There's no reason. We have plenty of room as the second, or the fourth boulder, I guess, comes out. But there's no reason to stay right there. So we want to make sure and stay on the path. Here comes the ad, so I get out of the way there. And then we'll continue to do damage to the ad. So this is, like I said, this has been a really quick fight. I was deceptively fast. So let's go ahead and we're going to finish taking on the ad here. There should be another boulder that's going to come out here in a second. I'm going to turtle because I don't know what's going to happen. And then there is, of course, flames as I walk through the ball. So I got really lucky making sure I used my full turtle there. So as you can see here, I'm going to start running through the flame patches because there's trees in your way. There's flame patches. It's really hard to see. I'm taking so much damage because I'm Hunter. We're going to go ahead and make sure I have 1.6% health. That's very close. I was literally calling it out. I'm like, I'm at 1.6. But we did manage to have enough brain globals, I think is what Glitch was calling it. I think that's what Dratnos, he's like, you have to have brain global sometimes for some of these dungeons, and I really feel like that fight in particular is one of them. But we are going to go ahead and really push to the last bit of this dungeon for the last boss. So we had 8 minutes coming out of the second boss, and we were kind of calling for let's speed it up a little bit, but I didn't think we really needed to that much, and it turns out we were both kind of right. We didn't need to go absolutely crazy. We need to make sure that we don't capsize our run before it actually is finished. So what we're doing here is I should be on the Chandler right now, making sure I'm watching how long Thunderstorm has left while also moving and dodging. And this is why having high haste is a good thing, because you don't feel as wooden, if you will. So we're going to go ahead and stay on the Chandler, AoEing everything else down, trying to not take damage on the ground while interrupting, making sure you're purging when you can. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and having thundering on top of that is not super fun. What I should be doing is purging these little thunder clouds and making sure they don't just jump on me and almost kill me like they just did. So things that I didn't realize was happening in the moment during the key, I'm realizing now. But we're going to go ahead and pull just a little bit faster here. We're going to make sure and get the Chandler out and good to go. So there goes the volley. And in a perfect world, particularly if you have true shot up with volley, you want to go explosive shot, death chakram, volley, true shot, aim shot, rapid fire, and it does so much damage. In fact, I think I did 94.8 or something K overall for this entire run. That's the highest I've done so far, and a large part of that is this just being more comfortable in the dungeon itself, but then also this new build. I really, really like this build. I'm just hoping it doesn't get nerfed. I have a feeling that the build, some facet of the build, one piece will end up getting nerfed at some point, because the way the Windrunner's guidance works is you get your 4 arrows every time you use your, because they're guaranteed now. It used to be 25% chance, now it's guaranteed. It's going to take some damage there on the ground. Don't be like me. Anyway, you get 4 arrows, and it's 100% chance for them to happen every time, so you can calculate that probability out of getting your at least one proc of the free true shot, and that is like 11.47% every time you cast an aim shot. That's great. So that's just something that's only going to help your damage, even if it's just for focus regeneration, even if it's just for giving you a free aim shot, lowering the cooldown of rapid fire and aim shot to rapid fire to 5 seconds during it. And then that means you can use more of the in the rhythm, because I forgot to mention in the talents, we have in the rhythm in the build as well, which is giving us 12% haste for after you finish the full cast, so the full channel of your rapid fire. There we go. Words are hard. I forget some of my own abilities sometimes. But this is going to be arguably the hardest pull in this entire dungeon. You want to make sure and get through the shield. I'm trying to purge where I can these little guys, because they make the shield stronger. I don't think I did a very good job there at all. But we are going to head and push through this first shield, and then we're going to just cleave down the adds as much as we can. 3 target cleave, which is obviously our minimum, but it did do a pretty good job here. So this mini boss does have a lot of health. So there we go. I did finally get a real purge off. If you don't get the storm shield broke, it will explode for a lot of damage. You will die. So you want to make sure and maybe use cooldowns appropriately for that. So here comes the lightning storm. I can use a cooldown here. But instead I decided to take like 2 steps out of the shaman's totem there, because of course that's what marksman hunters do, stay far away from the group as much as possible apparently. So we've got the last bit of shield down, so the ad is right at 30% right now, so we want to make sure and purge that, which I didn't need to because Glitch was on top of it. I just used my death chakram there, and then I'm going to use my explosive shot most likely here in a second, and I want to keep true shot. As Glitch would say, sometimes he feels scummy for holding on to cooldowns, but that is just smart play to make sure that you have it for this final boss. Because I wasn't necessarily scared. I wasn't necessarily scared. There we go. Of this boss. But when you're on the precipice of doing something you were struggling with recently, you want to make sure that you have everything in your toolbox to take these bosses down and make sure that they're not the reason that you ended up wiping. So what the goal for Glitch and I is to make sure we go ahead and take out the Drake in this of the two. They do a large amount of damage when she is up. So you want to make sure and avoid that and take them down as quickly as possible. And then at 50% or maybe just before 50% health, you will get both bosses at once, and then it's just a priority burn the Drake, and then you have a good shot at clearing this this dungeon. And there, of course, I tried to be sneaky and disengage back. Didn't happen, so I ended up not doing the clear like I should have. Whoops. But we want to make sure and dodge these flame patches, excuse me, and then we are on to the final part of this dungeon and this boss fight. So we have to take them on together, and if you get a flame circle, you want to bring it out to the side. I got really lucky and didn't get a flame circle right away. Glitch and I are both, and I'm sure Tipsy as well, is going absolutely berserk trying to kill the Drake, because after the Drake's down, this fight, like Glitch said in the video that you couldn't hear, is significantly easier once it's gone, because then you don't have to worry about the flame patches. So we have the flame breath there. I'm just going to run way the heck away. We got, or at least I got pretty lucky with wind, so I didn't really have to worry about dodging too much. And now let's go ahead and finish this dungeon in style. This was such an amazing run, and please let me know if you guys, particularly if you got to this point of listening to me ramble for 30 minutes. Thank you guys so much. This has been so much fun just over the past 5 or 6 years for doing YouTube in general, getting to talk to marksman hunters all over the world and showing that regardless of if marksman is the flavor of the month or not, that we can play it and we can have a lot of fun while doing it. I hope you guys will consider subscribing if you haven't already, and be sure and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. I have so many more videos that I'm literally going to dump out here in a few days, so you're going to see a lot of videos fast and furious. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.